Don't need to go back to the beginning, do I?
No,
because I forgot the microphone.
that's okay.
Still, I have a big voice, eh? Section E then, in our preamble, speaking under Rule 20.1, I've not received any requests for anyone to speak under Rule 21, but are there any members here this evening who'd like to do that? No, thank you. Public speaking, I've not received any requests for public speaking, and I can't see any members of the public who have joined us in the chamber. So we move on then to our declaration, our apologies for absence. I have received apologies from Councillor Paul Moore, who is substituted by Councillor Maeve Saunders. Welcome, thank you for joining us. Councillor Linda Piper sends her apologies. Unfortunately, it's a health issue, so she's not able to join us. And I understand that Councillor Tomlinson may be late, and Councillor Boyd may be joining us a little later. Are there any more apologies?
Yes, Chair. Apologies from Councillor Huxley.
Thank you. The next agenda item then, agenda item number 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations that members wish to make? Thank you. And then item number 3, we are asked to approve the minutes of the overview and scrutiny panel meeting, which was held on the 26th of October this year, 2021. There is a copy that's been produced for everybody to peruse. Does anybody have any comments to make about the minutes? Any suggestions for alterations? Okay, thank you very much. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Fellows, thank you very much. And a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Colin Cook. Do members agree? Thank you very much. Agenda item number 4 then is our Cabinet member presentation. We had a very lively presentation from the leader at the last meeting, but to be honest, and I suspect most of you would agree with me, it was good to hear so much of what the administration is planning to do, but it lasted from 7:10 until 9:20, which was a shade long. Councillor George Cupp is joining us this evening to talk to us about community safety and youth engagement. I want to assure you that we are not going to pin you to your chair for over an hour and a half. I think members, it may be that obviously questions are important when we've seen and heard from Councillor Cupp, but I think we perhaps need to try and tighten it down a bit in terms of the length of time that we run this particular agenda item, as many questions can be answered outside of this meeting. So I'd like to invite Councillor George Cupp to come and give us his presentation, which I can see is going to be up on the screen.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you everyone for having me this evening. Ideally tonight I just want to run you through some of the future projects that we've got going on that especially have a focus on youth and how we are helping those that are in need, or just ensuring that they are safe, essentially. So our first projects are the Thanet Community Safety Partnership projects. And the first one is the Ask Angela Andrew one. So this is quite an important one at the moment. I'm sure you've seen a lot in the news about the unfortunate spiking that has been going on in nightclubs, especially around universities. This is a campaign to ensure that we are helping nightclubs or anything in that kind of industry to ensure that they, or the general public, can go up to the bar and just say the word Angela or Andrew, and they can get cover for their drink. And it's a really very important campaign that, as I said, is incredibly vital, especially at the moment with all of the freshers that are going on. And it's something that we have to keep an eye on with our nightlife, especially around Ramsgate and Margate. Next slide, please. So our Community Shield, this is a very interesting project that, what's going on? Oh no. It's a very interesting project, which is a scheme that is being set up in North Down Road in Margate and Westgate, where local businesses can sign up to be a safe place to help those in immediate need of a place of safety. The Community Shield scheme can also help those who are lost in more extreme situations when they have been a victim of a crime or in need of a medical assistance. And as I said, this is a future project, so this will be hopefully in place by the end of this financial year. But it's something that that logo that you see will be up in community shops or places that have signed up to this scheme, so people will know that they are safe places that they can go to when they need help. And it's, I think, that kind of nice community feel where you can ensure that if you are unsafe or something along those lines, that you can just look for that sign and know that you're going to go into some kind of safety and protection. The safety web page, this is again a good kind of web page that's going to be set up for everyone, but also a focus on young people, where it will allow us to tell people where certain streets are that have got lights on, so they know that they can be seen, where the taxi ranks are in the offices, very importantly where the Ask Angela and Ask Andrew licensed premises are, and where the Community Shield safe place locations are. So on those previous projects that I've mentioned, it's a nice place where it kind of sums everything up, ties everything up. So it's one place where any person can go to and find where they can get help, just with a touch of a button on their smartphone, which I think the majority of people do have now. The ladder of risk. So this is an initiative where we go into schools and we talk to them about what they feel is a risk to them. Because I think one of the key things around this is that what might be risky or a hazard for someone that is 13, 14, 15 is not going to be the same risk or hazard for someone that's in their 30s, 40s, 50s or 80s. So it's incredibly important that we are ensuring that they can understand themselves what they would associate with risk and what level of that ladder they would put their risk on. And it's really about ensuring that everyone has that awareness of what they are doing, what risks that may cause, and teaching them about how to go about those risks as well. And it's PCHE, which is physical, socials, health and emotional, which are obviously key, important attributes for anybody growing up, so to ensure that they are understanding those, which all comes into this whole risk ladder scheme, to ensure that they are focusing on the right areas of risk and keeping themselves safe. The Thanet bike project, very interesting one. So this is a project where we have been able to get young people, an aim to try and get young people who cause antisocial behaviour, to get them to learn about bicycles, how they work, give them, I suppose, sometimes even a sense of purpose of how to do things, understanding mechanics on a bike, because I think if you start to understand just the simple mechanics on a bike, then you can go on and to understand the mechanics of a car, and who knows where that can lead you. You know, it can go into the military, to Formula One teams, anything like that. And it's a real way, an initiative to ensure that the young people that often maybe feel there isn't activities to do in Thanet, it takes them away from that and gives them something to do, and they are learning something at the end of it as well. The bike safety campaign, again, this is around bikes and the safety of locking them, essentially, and it's to ensure that people know how to the right locks to be put in place. And it's a project that will allow owners to access information about security and practical help, as I said, with locks, and covers for the bikes and mopeds. And it's, again, because unfortunately I think those kinds of thefts are quite a lot targeted. So it's just ensuring that people that own those mopeds or bikes know the best way to secure their property. So Operation Zigzag. This is a project focused around parking at schools. I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we've gone up to a school to pick up our children or a relative from school, and the parking is absolutely horrendous out there. And it's not just the parking, it's obviously then the issues that can face towards traffic and collisions, and essentially as well the importance of the children coming out of those schools, which is vital, because I think when you've got parked cars very close to schools, children running in between them, your visibility of them drops dramatically, and unfortunately it's that risk that we need to take away. And this is a great approach, ensuring that we are working with schools, working with parents to try and understand where's the best place to park, ensuring that those that are parked in the wrong places can be moved on. And it's been working effectively, and it links in very nicely with the next slide, which is Loan a Cone. And again, this is a project aimed at residents who live near schools and have difficulty getting on and off their driveway during the busy drop-off and pick-up times. So this is essentially us using information gathered from Operation Zigzag to allow us to give cones to residents to put positioned so that people cannot park in front of their driveway, causing an obstruction. And this allows the residents to come and go freely from their property, because, you know, it's obviously right that somebody living near school shouldn't be penalised because parents are parking over their driveways. And again, that is a safety thing, because I'm sure we've all seen it, unfortunately, where tensions get very high when people have parked in the wrong places. And it's just ensuring that risk, again, is taken away. The online exploitation awareness. So I'm sure this is, you know, social media is a very, very big factor in a lot of situations. And our young people especially are often indulged in social media, and quite often do not know the side effects of what may come from using them. It's even the simple things of, there is a minimum age to use Facebook, there's a minimum age to use WhatsApp, which isn't often talked about. TikTok, I'm sure we've all seen it through lockdown. TikTok was a massive trend and a massive hit for people doing dances and God knows what else. I mean, unfortunately, I'm afraid to say that I got involved in it as well. But it was something to do during lockdown, so there we go. And it kept people happy. I think that was the main thing. But essentially, it's so important that young people know what is going on for their safety online. And it's that awareness that we have got to get through to people, and this is exactly what this does. So Breaking the Cycle is a brilliant project that is being commissioned to engage with young people in the community to tackle antisocial behaviour or negative behaviour between 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. The programme runs for 14 weeks over 5 nights per week. And it focuses around liaising with TDC and Kent Police, sharing information on concerns around locations, sharing information on concerns around behaviour, sharing information on concerns around individual behaviours as well, give numbers of engagements and where, and being directed by the TSCP on hotspot locations and areas of concerns. This is a big thing that will be coming into place to ensure that there is a high level of engagement that is tackling the county lines issue. I don't think it's any secret that there are issues of county lines in our area, and this kind of initiative is something that tries to stop that. So the Amnesty Bins, this has been a very, very effective campaign. It's a bin that gets put up. We have them located at most train stations and in other hotspot areas that have been identified, where people can go along and drop their knives or lethal weapons in. And I myself have seen the pictures of some of the weapons, the knives that have come from these bins, and it is absolutely horrendous, actually, that they were even on the streets. But what is a positive is that people have been engaging with them and been dropping a lot of offensive weapons in there, and it's allowing a reduction of these horrible weapons on our streets, and we can take them away efficiently and put them obviously in a safe place where they're off the streets. So the safer streets, we received £378,000 from the Home Office, which is also supported by the Police and Crime Commissioner, funded by the Police and Crime Commissioner. And the aim with this is to reduce the crime in Eastcliff and Central Harbour wards in Thanet. And it's also going to be funded for CCTV cameras, graffiti removal machines, community sheds, strengthening families, strengthening communities course for parents, planters, personal security, home security improvement, moped theft prevention and protection, street lighting, alleyway gating, and waste management. And of course, the implementation of this will be by the end of the financial year. But this project will be sustained over the coming years as well. So YouTube, we are on the process of creating content for our YouTube channel to help explain what we do to members of the public. We have lots of projects happening throughout the year, and a constant message from the community is that they do not know what we do. We want to use this platform to demonstrate what we do and how we do it and why. YouTube is a great platform to get messages out there, especially to engage with younger people. Quite often, I think younger people don't know what is going on in the community, and they, as I said earlier, they are very much involved with social media. So why not target them where they will be looking? And YouTube is a great platform to do that with, and hopefully by doing this we will get more engagement with future projects and the projects that we will be running. So TDC projects. So the winter HAF, which is a TDC active Thanet, shall continue to support the delivery of the HAF programme during Christmas holiday to ensure as many children and families are reached. This involves continued work with local schools and activity providers aiming to provide positive experience for young people and lasting memories. And that's not to mention, this is obviously a future project. We did also have the summer HAF, which was incredibly engaging and brought a lot of positivity to a lot of families and a lot of young people. The DWP partnership grant for the YES project. So they're working with partnership with DWP to support young people aged between 18 to 24 back into employment. We saw a very big rise of unemployment of young people, especially in the Thanet area, when we came out of lockdown, because obviously all the hospitalities and areas like that closed down. And it is vital, I think, that we help back and publish these kind of projects to help young people into employment. And it allows us to work with the young people that have been identified by work coaches that are experiencing low confidence and self-esteem, poor mental well-being and little motivation, which was a big side effect from the lockdowns, because there wasn't that engagement with people. They weren't getting used to having interviews, and sometimes, unfortunately, when people did have interviews, they weren't hearing back from people, and that created a side effect of people thinking that, well, I'm not good enough to be employed. And this YES project is making sure that people understand that they are worthy to get a job and they should get employed. So our future projects are Doorstep Sports Programme, the Thanet Youth Employability Hub, This Girls Can Thanet campaign, the Thanet Summer Olympics 2024, which is something incredibly exciting. Obviously, when we've got the 2024 Olympics, we are doing something incredibly exciting in Thanet ourselves around that. The paddleboarding for ex-offenders, and my own little baby, the Youth Cabinet Advisory Group, which is something that is being worked on by Penny and a team, and it's progressing very, very nicely. And obviously the goal right now is just to set up a youth advisory group where they can come along, talk to the Cabinet, advise us on any projects or policies that they would like to be involved in, and help us make decisions around their future, around the district. And I think that this is a great stepping stone into eventually getting a youth council. But the most important thing around this is to ensure that we walk before we run in this. That's everything, yeah. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you very much, George, for a very interesting report. I guess it's this question almost asks itself, but are you intending to make these slides available to all councillors, quite apart from the councillors who are on this committee? Is that your intention, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that people, especially members, should know about the projects that are going on, so very happy to make these be shared with all members.
Thank you. And just as a follow-up to that, there are lots of us, of course, who are twin hatters, but there are a number of town councillors who are not, and Margate Charter trustees who, well, I think they're all twin hatters, aren't they? Yes, they are. But could we have some copies for example, Ramsgate Town Council, so that councillors at Ramsgate, even if it's one copy, that the council at Ramsgate then reproduces if members want to have a look at them? I think that would be quite helpful too. Just perhaps one to each council and let the council reproduce them. Thank you very much. Members, it's a very interesting presentation. Thank you. Yes, let's have our first question and then Councillor Austin after that.
Okay, thank you. And yes, that was a great presentation and some really great stuff for young people in there. What I'd like to know a bit more about is you highlighted the thing about young people not knowing what was going on. And so how are you going to advertise all the sorts of things you were talking about in your presentation to young people, particularly those difficult to reach ones, those that might be out of school or looked after children, or those most vulnerable ones? And just as a small one, for the safer streets with the wards Eastcliff and Central Harbour, how were they identified for that funding as opposed to other areas? Thank you.
So the engagement around these projects is absolutely, you're right. It's so important that we are reaching out to as many young people as possible from all different kinds of backgrounds. The YouTube side of things is one of the ways that we can do that. We are looking at the social media aspects of our approach. So the Safer Neighbourhood meetings that are currently going on. I was just in a meeting the other day with the district commander and the chief exec and the leader, and we were saying how we need to ensure that these are being engaged again by young people. So that is, again, we are looking at a different approach around that, whether it is more social media based, whether we need to be doing leaflet dropping, whether we are seeing or not if we can do posters around everywhere, whether we're going into youth clubs, schools, which is a process that we are doing as well. We are going to schools now. We are ensuring that we are having those conversations that so young people are aware of these projects. And then your second question, I will pass over to Penny.
Thank you. I did quickly write an answer. So they were identified through the Police and Crime Commissioner, or the Commissioner's Office. We were invited, we were one of 4 councils in Kent that were invited to apply. So it was based on the inquisitive crime data. So we didn't have an option. We were just told, if you want to apply, it's for these 2 wards. And that's what we did. We have previously applied for other funding through the same streams, but weren't successful, but they were for other wards in the district because that was related to different types of crime. So yeah, we don't get a choice, unfortunately.
Thank you, Chair. That was really impressive, and I, for one, had absolutely no idea of the range of projects that are involved, and I'm somebody who, before being on the council, has been very involved in my local community, so it's definitely, you know, a well-kept secret that shouldn't be, and we should be out there promoting some of these great projects. Just a couple of things I wanted to ask. The first one was about the bike maintenance bit, which is something I know in Ramsgate Town Team we've tried to set up in the past, and I'm really pleased to see that that's gone ahead. I want to know where it's actually happening at the moment and whether there are plans to expand that. And then the second thing I wanted to ask was about the Safer Streets funding, because I'm Central Harbour Ward, so we had some really useful information originally from Joe Taylor about that when it was first approved, but we don't seem to have had any updates since. So I'm wondering if we can have something through to ward councillors to give us a bit of information about what's happening at the moment, and most particularly how we can help. And the third thing I wanted to say was, as a governor of Newington School, I'm so pleased to see that you're going to be there doing the parking, because there is parking as far away from as I am from the chair, and people aren't using it, they're parking on the zigzags instead. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Austin. So the bike project currently isn't live, but it will be soon. The locations, I'll be honest, I don't know, but I will find out for you, and I will let you know. The question regarding the funding, the safer streets, again, in discussions that I had with the Chief Exec and Leader, I think we are planning potentially doing a members briefing on it, so a full understanding could be known from all members, so you're clear on what is going on, and I can only say that I'm pleased you're happy about the parking.
Thank you, members. Councillor Curry.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the presentation, George. Really interesting. Lots of really good projects there. I think were really helpful. It was good to see the Community Shield programme that will be planned for North Down Road. And I was just wondering how best it would be to get the message out to local businesses. Could we do maybe a leaflet drop? And I think that would be really effective. Thanks.
So absolutely, yeah, we definitely will be doing leaflet drops, and also we are visiting the businesses around the area, because it's important there is that engagement with them, and we get as many businesses on board with this initiative. So yeah, we will do everything we can to ensure we've got as many businesses on board with this.
Of course.
I'm sorry, I remembered something else I was going to ask, which was about the Community Shield, which is, I've read something just recently about Thorley Taverns being involved in some kind of a safety, community safety thing. Are they part of the Community Shield, or is it something different?
That's Ask Angela and Ask Andrew.
Right, okay.
But can I come in? Sorry, Chair. Thorley Taverns do get involved with a number of our late night type of projects. So yeah, but specifically at the moment, it's that one.
Thank you very much. And as it happens, I was reading various posts on social media today about Ask Angela. I haven't seen about the Andrew. I was completely unaware of the Ask Andrew facility, but there's quite a few posts today on social media about Ask Angela. So thank you very much for that. I'd like to thank you, George, Councillor Cupp, for coming to the meeting this evening and sharing with us. Members, thank you for your questions, and we will look forward to receiving copies of the slides in due course. Before we move on to agenda item 5, you do not have to stay. I realise you are very, very busy people, so thank you very much for coming this evening, and I'll just give you a moment or two if you want to slip out. Number 5, then, members. Welcome, Kerry. It's glad you're able to join us. Agenda item number 5, then, is the Housing Performance Report. And I'd like to invite Mr. Bob Porter to present it to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, Sally O'Sullivan, who's our Tenant and Leaseholder Services Manager, will run through some introductions to the report. And then obviously myself, Sally and Councillor Bayford are here if members have any questions after the introduction that you want to ask. Obviously we'll do our best to answer them. So I'll pass over to Sally.
Thank you. So it's been, in the year since transition, the team has come a long way and we feel we're making real difference in the service that we offer. Our performance continues to improve of areas of landlord compliance, where a recent audit gave us reasonable assurance, income management, and at keeping up with our capital works programme. For example, we've completed all of the surveys now on the tower blocks and we're starting to scope the works that we will be carrying out there. And this will include the replacement of the external wall system, replacing windows and upgrading the heating systems. By the end of December, we have the specification ready to tender for the works at Royal Crescent. And we're halfway through a programme to refurbish the lifts across our blocks as well. Anecdotally, our customers have told us that the service has improved, and in a recent consultation, which was to find out what we need to do to build a better relationship with our customers, positive comments we received included, you provide a good service, and I feel I already have a good professional relationship with you as my landlord. Service has got better since it's been back with TDC. Before I couldn't get through, but now feel you keep us informed and are providing value for money. Amazing at what you're doing. I've never had any problems with TDC. I did with EKH, so glad they've gone. We know what areas we need to improve on, and we're applying focus to the landlord compliance, to complete fire risk assessment actions and the electrical safety certificates, so that we're in a position to request the regulator remove our notice. Our void performance is not where we want it to be, and therefore a recent restructure with the purpose of ensuring we have human resource in the right place has created a voids team to focus on reducing our void turnaround time and has put more resource to the front line to improve the condition of our estates. The other area we need to address is the performance of our day-to-day repairs through MERS. We are feeling very positive about a relationship with MERS at this time, as they have just dedicated to us our own contract manager and team. We have a service improvement plan in place with them, with which they are positively engaging. So if anyone has any questions.
Thank you very much, Sally, for that. Members, we have a number of issues we've been asked to have a look at and comment on. So I'd like to invite you to do that now. I think it probably goes without saying, but you know me, I'm going to say it anyway. The council clearly started from quite a bad position. If that were not the case, there would have been no need to bring the service back in-house. I think that's a reasonably fair comment to make. So your comments, particularly around paragraph 2.1, we're very proud of what we've accomplished over the past year. Shows that you have been working very, very hard. And 2.3, we have in place an 18-month service improvement plan as I was reading this, I was thinking, well, you've started from a bad place. The old phrase that Rome wasn't built in a day applies here. There's a lot to be done, and clearly the team are working very hard at trying to deal with those issues, notably the servicing and repairs. I was looking at the annex and seeing the level of repairs that are carried out on time and so on. So thank you very much for that. Members, do we have any questions you'd like to ask or comments you'd like to make on the report? Yes, please, Councillor King.
Thank you, and thank you for the report. I'm particularly interested in the Mayor's contract. I'm really glad to hear that they're engaging well with the improvement programme, but I'd like to know what are the penalties for them if they don't meet the targets, and how long is the contract with them? I mean, if they continue to underperform, when will the contract be reviewed? Thank you.
Chair, would you like us to answer those questions?
Yes,
now?
please. Yes, please. Sorry, I left the mic on. Yes, please.
Yeah, on the first thing, there aren't any specific penalty, like financial penalties within the current contract arrangements with MERS. Obviously, our focus is on making sure that they do fulfil the performance targets that were within the contract, and those performance targets are the ones that we report on, so you can see where they're how they're doing. Obviously, where we're aware of any service failures, we take those up directly with the contract management staff at MERS, and we have regular liaison meetings with them, with our tenant representatives as part of that as well. So we have an operational meeting monthly with them and a quarterly strategic level meeting with representatives from the tenant body. When's the contract up? Well, 2025. So it sounds a fair way away, but it isn't really. And over the course of the next year, we'll need to start thinking about what we want to put in place after that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Austin.
I want to ask about MERS as well, if I may. I mean, it's encouraging to see that a number of the indicators, the performance has improved, but I was worried about the days to complete non-urgent works, which seems to be way off target, and I'm just wondering what other factors might be involved in that. Is that to do with MERS performance, or are there other things coming in there that are affecting that? Thanks.
Thank you. So there've been a couple of things that have affected the days to complete urgent works. MERS themselves have had difficulty employing contractors to the trades. We've also had issues with getting materials following Brexit, following pandemic. Because of that, we've got a massive backlog of jobs, and that has compounded the statistics. So in a nutshell, that is why it's so poor performance there. They have rectified that now. We have the trades in place and we're getting hold of materials, but because of the backlog, it's taking longer to resolve.
Okay, great, thank you.
Councillor Curry.
Yeah, could you tell me where the monthly tenant and leaseholder meetings are held so we can pass this on to residents? Thank you.
Thank you. Currently, the meetings are held online. We haven't managed to get together yet, but we are looking to be able to get together. We'll be at the council offices when we are able to.
Councillor Boyd.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I just want to clarify a typo, which is on page 31, where it goes, it does not reflect now we listen to their views and act upon them. So I presume that's meant to be how we listen to their views and not, I presume we have been listening to people's views for a time. At least I was like, and the second thing was, could you talk a bit more about, on the next page, about the number of training opportunities offered to residents I know it's at 0. I'm going to presume it's because it hasn't started up yet, but quite like to know what your plans are for that in terms of training and engagement with the residents.
So the intention is to offer training to our engaged residents, and that would be to help them scrutinise, so training to enable them to scrutinise our performance, but also other training. We want residents to help us with equality impact assessments on things like policies and when we're doing procurement for contracts. So we want to offer training for that, and also training so that they can assist us with procurement as well. Thanks.
Councillor Keane.
Thank you. The properties that are returned in a poor state of repair, probably need to be here. I presume there's a schedule when there are visits to the properties in the meantime. So I just wanted to know or understand a bit more about that. Are we flagging up properties along the way, or are we only finding out about these properties at the end of the tenancy? And is there anything we can do to address this in future? Thank you.
Thank you. So we are, to be able to address that, we are starting a programme of tenancy visits to visit 10% of tenancies that we don't hear from year to year, to identify issues with property, but also to identify issues where residents may require more support from us as well. We hope that this will help with identifying properties ahead of time, so that we can help people live in better condition before the end of the tenancy.
Chair, so if I just add a comment to that as well. Where existing tenants have asked to move through a transfer, which is the source of some of our empty properties, we also do an inspection prior to agreeing that move. So if there are any issues with the condition of the property at that point, then we would raise them with the tenant prior to approving it. So that picks up some. It's worth also saying the tenancy audit programme, as well as helping with issues about condition, can also pick up any issues with tenancy fraud. So that was part of the rationale for introducing that, was to help us tackle tenancy fraud, identify and tackle tenancy fraud.
Question, if I may. Obviously, it is disappointing, as Councillor King says, to read that so many properties came back in a very poor state, but that links into the other bit, which you're starting from a bad position. I think it's reasonable to assume that most issues of damp and mould are going to occur between October and April. Most complaints coming forward are going to come in that sort of time. And a lot of them, it seems to me, are probably not damp and mould, but poor ventilation, where tenants don't open the windows and you get dust settling on the joints and that goes black and they think it's mouldy and it's not. So is during the course of the winter months, I'm not talking about extra visits, but in routine visits or planned maintenance visits that you're making to properties, are we going to be doing something to, I don't mean to sound arrogant here, but to educate tenants about the difference between damp and mould and dust and condensation? We're going to take the opportunities as they come, in other words.
Thank you, Councillor Piper. Well, yes, I think it's a straight answer to that. Damp and mould is an issue that we come across often in relation to condensation, and the way that, you're quite right in the way in the question you've asked. Condensation quite often could be linked to the way the heating's used, whether the property is ventilated, and so on. And so, yeah, our officers do provide advice about that, and we've also run articles in our resident newsletters about managing moisture in the home to try and reduce issues with condensation. It is an issue that comes up frequently, so it's a thing we'll continue to work on. Yes, and there is some information on our.
Not yet.
Well, not yet. We're going to be putting some information on our web pages about it as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Members, are there any more questions for the team? Okay, members. For Q1, taking note of annexes 1, 2, 3 and 4, and note the contents of the reports for Q2, annexes 5, 6, 7 and 8. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Fellows, and a seconder, Councillor Curry. Do members agree? Thank you very much. Agenda item number 6 then is the increased provision of housing response officers at the tower blocks. It's officially on one of the supplementary agenda sections, but I'm sure members have had an opportunity to see it. Mr. Porter, please.
Well, it's the same routine, actually. It's going to be Sally introducing the report. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the areas our customers tells us we need to improve is in the condition of our estates. This includes communal cleaning, litter and rubbish removal, presence of weeds on our paved areas and fly tipping. To improve performance in these areas, we need further resource, and we consider increasing the number of HROs we have working in the field will give us the resource that we need. We felt the provision of HROs dedicated to the tower blocks to be the right decision over outsourcing. So, for example, increasing the scope of our cleaning contract or the grounds maintenance contract. Because of the nature of high-rise living means more residents in a smaller area, requiring more frequent cleaning of communication of communal areas, we experience increased incidents of ASB also. Therefore, by providing dedicated HROs to tower blocks will mean increasing our presence on the estates. The HROs will become a familiar face to our tenants and leaseholders, providing a TDC officer to report matters to, making residents feel safer as an increased presence brings with it increased security and assurance against ASB. We have direct control over the quality of work and flexibilities over the priorities that they have. As there is not enough budget to provide 2 extra HROs for the tower blocks, we asked our tenants and leaseholders in a recent consultation if they would contribute to the cost of these officers by paying for them as part of their service charge. As you can see from the report, a majority of the tenants and leaseholders that responded to the consultation said that they agreed to this suggestion. In addition, tenants and leaseholders who said that they knew what the HROs did were more likely to support making a contribution to the cost of the additional officers. If there are any questions.
Thank you very much. Members. Any questions? Thank you then. Our task this evening then, members, is to make comments if we have them, and it will go from here to Cabinet, who will be asked to approve the introduction of the service charge for the tenants and leaseholders of the 6 tower blocks in the district, and to recommend to full council the necessary budget is approved for this service. So I think from here it goes to Cabinet for their decision. Members, can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Fellows, seconder, please. Councillor Rattigan. Do members agree? Thank you very much. Likewise, if the team, I know you're all very busy, you're welcome to stay, but if you'd like to leave, that's fine too. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Members, agenda item number 7 then is the item concerning proposed fees and charges. Mr. Blundell, I think you're going to present it to us this evening, unless you've got someone hiding that you're going to pass it on to that we can't see.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. Members will be aware that this is the report that went to Cabinet on Thursday last week that is now presented to OSP for your consideration. Prior to that, it was fees and charge setting process was considered by a Cabinet advisory group that met on 2 occasions in September and October, and a number of recommendations that were made by the Cabinet advisory group that have been reflected in the fees and charges schedule that are presented. They include an increase in the collection of garden waste to £55. It currently is £53. That's a £2 increase compared to the current year. Also, the consideration of the establishment of a pilot scheme for to examine the benefits of reduced parking charges for low emission vehicles, and also for the finance team to revisit the charges for the crematorium. In addition to that, at Cabinet on Thursday, it was approved that the fees and charges will be revisited to increase them by a 3% increase, as opposed to the 2% increase that you'll see presented in the schedule of fees and charges. That work is still ongoing by my team at the moment. So subsequent to that work, there will be some amendments to the figures that are presented in the schedule that you have in front of you, and that will go to Council for full decision on the 9th of December. Happy to take any questions on the substance of the fees and charges that are presented to you, or the process that we've been through in order to arrive at the position that we're at now.
Members, any questions, comments for Mr. Blundell? I must admit, I didn't spot the misprint till it was too late. The printed copy I've got in front of us increases bulky waste to £55, but that's obviously a typo. It's garden waste. Bulky waste is going up, I understand, £4 to 30.
Correct.
£30. Personally, and I forgive me, members, I know it's an area of the life around Thanet that I am personally involved in, but the use of the crematorium for members, it still concerns me that we are amongst the poorest in Kent, and yet somehow we charge a great deal more than other areas for cremations and burials and the use of our facilities. And there are a lot of new charges that have become necessary because of live streaming facilities and putting up onto the main screen, moving photographs with or without music and so on. There are a lot of additional charges. If I could put in a plea for those of us who conduct services at the crematorium, there is an overrun charge which is automatically applied to families. If, for example, I'm conducting a service at 12 o'clock and the one before me overruns by 15 minutes, the family I'm looking after get charged, and then if I'm late, everybody else does all the way along the line. So I know it's necessary, but it does seem to me to be quite a high charge compared to other places I go to. And just as probably not really my role here as the chair, but there are a couple of new private crematoria being built fairly locally, and it may well be that if their charges for the use of their facilities are considerably lower, and with the increasing popularity of non-attend services or pure cremation, as I've no doubt you've seen on the television, people may well move to have their loved ones cremated elsewhere and the ashes brought back into the reason. So I, just as a word of caution, and please forgive me, but I think we need to be careful that we don't actually increase our fees too much, though I do note, of course, this year it is only a £10 increase. So it's not a massive increase, but perhaps the other additional charges enable these things to the bills build up very, very quickly. Thank you very, very much for the report. We are there any recommendations we wish to make, or are we going to leave this now with Cabinet to, it's coming to Council on the 9th of December. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Fellows and the seconder. Councillor Vatican, thank you very much. Do members agree? Thank you. The next agenda item is agenda item number 8. Thank you very much. A review of the work programme for 21-22. Most of us are familiar, of course, with the contents of this work programme that we've been putting together. Does anyone have any comments that they'd like to make to the programme as we have it? Perhaps, Councillor Fellows, were there any words you wanted to offer regarding the Coastal Waste Review working group thus far?
Yeah, we've had a couple of really good meetings since the last time we met here. One with parish and town councils, which went quite well. And we had a really good one in the chamber here last week with about 15 members of volunteer litter pickers who came along and gave their views, and yeah, really good recommendations from them, which we will all put together and present at a future meeting. Yeah, good. It's been good and very interesting. The people that are on my party agree it's been very interesting. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the work that you are doing. Members, if there's no more comments, we're asked to note the report. Agenda item 9 then. We are also asked to note the report for the Forward Plan Exempt Cabinet report list. Do members have any comments they wish to make about that list? I think much of it is fairly well known to most of us already. Okay, members, may I ask you then to note that report also? And that then brings us to the end of business for this evening. So we'll conclude the meeting closed at 8 p.m. and the live stream of this meeting will now end. Thank you very much.